Let me ask you something honestly. What if the real strength isn't in what you say, but in what you withhold? What if silence isn't weakness at all, but discipline sharpened by experience? Most men fall apart when they lose her. They send paragraphs. They ask friends. They overanalyze every pause while drowning in their own noise. But not you. Not anymore. Because the most dangerous man in her life isn't the one begging to come back. It's the one who leaves without explanation. The man who doesn't react, doesn't justify himself, doesn't chase. He simply redirects his energy into purpose. This isn't manipulation. It's self-respect. And today we're breaking down what she feels when you stop chasing. So lock in, because this is where healing begins and elevation starts. Point 1. The silence that roars. You think silence means nothing. In reality, it means everything. When a man who once invested emotionally suddenly goes quiet, that stillness becomes deafening. She expected emotion, reaction, proof that she still had access to you. Instead, nothing. You cut off emotional availability. You stopped feeding her ego with just checking in messages. And that absence forces her into a space she never expected. Reflection. Why does his absence feel heavier than his presence ever did? You're not disappearing to punish her. You're detaching to protect yourself. And in that quiet, she hears what she avoided before. Her own regret, her own decisions, the realization that you may have been real. Point 2. You let her win and walked away from the prize. She thinks she won. She pulled away. She got the final word. Maybe she blocked you. Fine. Let her keep the trophy. But here's the shift. You're the kind of man who doesn't fight to hold something that no longer aligns. You allowed the victory, then stepped away from the game entirely. She expected resistance, drama, emotional chaos. Instead, she got peace. And nothing unsettles someone who craves control more than a man who refuses to fight for a cage he already escaped. Point 3. Masculinity in motion can't be reached. When a man turns inward, truly inward, and starts building instead of pleading, he becomes unreachable. Not out of bitterness, out of direction. You're no longer stuck in your head. You're in the gym, in your craft, in your discipline, in your silence. And she senses it, even if she says nothing. Because feminine energy is drawn to masculine direction, and the moment you stop orbiting her, you reclaim your center. You become the sun again. Steady, warm, distant, undeniable. Point 4. The mystery she created but can't solve. You didn't pull away to make her miss you. You pulled away because staying would have cost you yourself. But now you've become something she didn't anticipate. A question mark. You were once transparent, predictable, available. Now you're unreadable. And humans don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what they can't. She replays old conversations, scrolls, checks, tries to rewrite the narrative. But you're already in another chapter, and she's not part of it. Point 5. Your healing feels like her punishment. You didn't disappear to hurt her. You disappeared to heal. But healing can feel like punishment to someone who assumed they'd always have access to your pain. The version of you who would wait, explain, beg. That man is gone. He healed quietly, and she's left staring at the silence of that transformation. This isn't revenge, it's revelation. She thought time would soften you. Instead, it refined you. She didn't break you. She broke the version of you that depended on her. Now you stand whole. Point 6. When she realizes you were the piece. At first, she enjoys the freedom. Fewer messages, no emotional responsibility, no depth. But eventually the noise fades. The new options feel empty. The late-night conversations don't land the same. And that's when it hits her. You weren't the chaos. You were the calm. You were the safe place, the anchor. And now you're gone. Not out of anger, but out of self-love. Point 7. The masculine frame she can't rebuild. A man grounded in his masculine core, who cannot be manipulated, is rare. She can look elsewhere, experiment, compare. But presence like yours isn't found, it's forged. That calm strength, that restraint, that quiet certainty. Outside your frame, she realizes she was safer inside it, even when she didn't understand it. She wasn't looking for a man who liked her. She was searching for a man she couldn't move. And now she sees that man was you. Point 8. When detachment becomes desire. At first, she mistook your silence for weakness. She expected you to break, to reach out, to fold. But you didn't. You stayed grounded, focused, steady. And slowly, your distance stopped looking like avoidance and started looking like strength. Now she's not irritated. She's curious. Because this isn't how it usually goes. Men chase, men plead, men wait. But you didn't freeze her out. You outgrew the situation. And women are drawn to certainty. Not loud certainty, but quiet, immovable certainty. That's when desire sneaks in. You became the man she once had and can no longer reach. Point 9. The peace she can't replace. She'll try to move on, scroll, laugh, distract herself. But deep down, she's not searching for someone new. She's searching for the feeling you gave her. That grounded calm, that subtle strength, that balance of freedom and safety. And no matter how many options she explores, the noise never replaces the peace. She let it go before she understood its value. Now she's haunted by a calm she didn't realize was rare. And that realization doesn't hit like thunder. It lingers like a whisper. Point 10. You didn't need closure. You became it. Here's the truth few men hear. You don't need her apology. You don't need her explanation. You don't need her regret. Because when you truly let go, you stop needing anything from her at all. No final message. No dramatic ending. You didn't just move on. You evolved. You answered your own questions, healed your own wounds, and that's what makes you untouchable. She may reach out one day, test the waters, reopen the door. But by then, you won't be standing where you once were. Because growth doesn't chase closure, it becomes it. So what does she feel when you don't chase? Confusion, uncertainty, longing, and eventually, loss. But this was never about her. It was about you. This isn't a strategy, it's a shift. Your silence doesn't come from hurt, it comes from power. So let her wonder, let her reflect, let her scroll in silence while you build in strength.